Ladies and gentlemen, how are you all doing on this very fine Friday as we record live over on Twitch? It is myself, as normal, Pete, Titans Creed Neverco, and joined by the not completely mecha... What's the best word for it? Roboticized gnome of the universe, one Mr. Frazley. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I definitely failed your expectations, and mine too. I fell short of what I was hoping to be saying tonight. So I did not get the heritage armor because even for gnomes, got to work on the war campaign. So I was working on it, and then you get an Naz'jatar, and there's all these dailies.
It's not that bad, actually. There are a couple of differences. I'm not sure how you found it on the US servers, but the EU today we had one of the quests to find 10 starfish. That's definitely been the most trying quest so far because they only spawn up on the terrace, but there's a couple of phasing bugs, and it's not one of those items that is when somebody else picks it up. Nobody else can, so it instantly vanishes compared to like nearly everything else in the zone. It's a bit of an odd one, but I abused the group finder and got it done in like half an hour today. So just jumped from realm to realm to finish it off because I wasn't going to spend 2 hours waiting for spawns, I'll be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, you've had very little time to actually focus on 8.2 this week as you are away very shortly for about a week and a bit, which is why we're recording this on a different day than what we normally do. What have you actually... What is the grand scale of what you've managed to do this week?
So after our last one, I got into the war campaign a little bit more, and I got my horde now 2 away from the Alliance Wolf Mountain achievement. So I'm excited on that, and I'm enjoying the war campaign because once I get pretty far on Fraz and stuff like that for the 8.2, I'm going to go back and do it on the Horde. But yeah, I'm working on the war campaign and also unlocking the unlocks. And still a lot of rep grinding. And I kept meaning to go into the emissaries dailies. And then, just time got away from me. Time kept slipping away.
It does that.
And then Tuesday, we got the patch. So, well, I got the patch on Tuesday. You got it on Wednesday. So I should be farther along than you are because I had an extra day. But nope, thanks. And Tuesday was also the day that I kept meaning to play it, but my podcast meetup went later. It was a great meetup, and then we had to drop off a car at the shop, and they decided to close down 3 lanes of our highway, and also a tanker spilt on one of our other highways. So everybody was taking this, what should have been a very slow and very uncongested 1 lane of the highway. Everybody was on. So I did not get home till 11 that night. And I only got maybe half an hour while I was watching the awesome Pat Crane and just talk about 8.2. So I got to experience that. But then when the show was over, I was like, okay, I got to go to bed. So yeah, Tuesday did not turn out how I expected it to.
Yeah. But I hit the grind hard last few days. So I went into it looking at what essences we need because I'm trying to get back into raiding on my Demon Hunter, and I've tried to catch my Demon Hunter up, as you know, and what we've talked about. So I got a Heart of Azeroth level 50 literally a couple of days before 8.2 went live. So I had both my Demon Hunter and my Monk ready to go. They're both equivalent item level, etc, etc. I've unlocked every essence I can right now.
Nice.
Literally just before we finished recording, started recording today, I have got rank 2 of the island essence, and I've got rank 2 Blood of the Enemy, which is 15,000 honor in instance PvP combat. So in the 2.5 days since 8.2 has been live, I've done 15,000 honor in Battlegrounds.
So we were talking about you on the Genome Project, and you were hearing it, Michael and I. You are like the who is able to do everything, and like the younger brother looks up to you. I look up to you every single week. It's not just the height, but I look up to you because you have a grasp of the game that I am just in awe at. And I mean, just you're able to do all this stuff.
Well, because I have still got to catch up my Demon Hunter on the War campaign as well, I had all the 8.1. So I had all this bonus AP because they've obviously upped the amount you can get as well. Yeah, I'm level 52 and a half from Tuesday as well. So I've gone 2.5 levels on that as well. So...
Wow.
Yeah. It's a little bit insane. Plus I found out on Thursday that the Random Battleground and the Random Epic Battleground reset their AP rewards daily as well. So there's an extra 1,000 on a minimum. Plus there's a 50% bonus because the Alliance doesn't have as many players as the Horde. So we're getting stacks of the Horde that are using the Mercenary rule. So that on top of that means I'm getting extra AP as well. And the fact that the Epic Battleground AP rewards scales with how long you've been in there. But oh my god, if you get Ashran, it is such a laggy mess. It's horrible. But I've seen the new Warsong Gulch, I've seen the new Arathi Basin, and I've seen the new Alterac Valley now. I have no idea that they'd put the tree and the elemental back summoning available in Alterac Valley. It's insane. It's actually mental that they've done that. Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin have had a graphical update and touch up, and they look absolutely amazing. But yeah,
I spent so much time in Warsong, and I forgot that this was the patch that was getting the 8.2, because I remember we were told at BlizzCon about Warsong Gulch.
Well,
wow,
apparently
okay.
Warsong and Arathi Basin have had the update for a while. The graphical update. 8.2 brought Ashran to the Epic Battlegrounds. So that's new. I don't know when Alterac Valley was changed. But then I've not really done a lot of Battlegrounds since... I think the last time I really was interested in Battlegrounds was back in Mists and Cataclysm.
Yeah, and mine was... Convert to Raid would do a lot of PvP nights, and I have not done a lot of Battlegrounds since those nights, because it is helpful going in with a group, because the camaraderie, and when you get the asshole in the chat who's just tearing down the group, you can definitely use the whole thing to, your team can make fun of it. And yes, I did curse.
I mean, true.
But
I mean,
hate those
there are some battleground heroes, as I like to find them, and I got called out by a 5-stack Horde group in the Battle for Gilneas because I had no idea what I was doing there. They called me out for not saying why we lost Lighthouse at the beginning. And I said, well, I got attacked by several people, and they said you should have called this Pepega and all that stuff in chat. And I was just like, I haven't been here. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wanted to come and fight, you know?
Those people have no life, I'm sorry to say. They take the game a little too seriously.
But I got another 5-Kappa Horde on my Alliance team for Warsong Gulch today, and we 3-0'd the opposing team so badly we were farming their graveyard.
Nice.
So that was funny. But yeah, it's been fun. I'm actually enjoying Battlegrounds on my own or with a couple of groups and bits and pieces. March the 14th, I'm being told by the Twitch chat, is when Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin. So thank you very much for that.
What?
Patch 8.1.
I totally missed
Yeah.
that. Wow. Maybe I just overlooked it. I mean, a lot of things go over my head sometimes.
There's a fair bit that goes on there that I think we all miss. I mean, we don't. If you're not that interested in PvP as a main thing, then you really miss what goes on. So
yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I'm up to date with Naz'jatar. I'm up to date with Mechagnomes. I'm already honoured with the Ankoans because I went and got my 3,000 rep from doing the battle pets in the zone. I've done the 2,000 odd rep from the Mechagnomes pets. Just trying to get honoured there.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited to see where those go. The reps are definitely my goal, and I still got a few quests to do. I did get a new mount though.
Fabius.
Yes.
I
got because of how you get that mount is my favorite mount now.
That's brilliant. That's cool. For those who don't know, how did you get it?
So I joined a group finder that found the spawn. And Fabius, you got to take a selfie. And it instantly goes into your bag.
You're saying basically
that is instantly
the picture was
my favorite.
The picture was absolutely fabulous then.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. I also got a new mount this week. I got the... Well, first of all, I got lucky with some drops up on Argus, so there are no more mount drops from the open world Argus that I need anymore. It's all just the raiding stuff outside of emissary rewards.
Nice.
But I made the Mechano cat from Mechagnomes today for free. I didn't even have to buy any materials. I just managed to get them all. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We're on the way to 450, which will be the next thing. I think we're about 406, 407 right now. But there's still loads to farm out in the world. But there's just so much to do. Like, especially, and I think you're feeling this as well this week. But as any sort of content creator, you just don't have time to sit down and just do all of the things sometimes.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for next week, I'm having to accelerate some of my content creation to be ready for next week, I would actually have had more time, but I had to get some projects done ahead of time to then be ready. Like last night, I could have done some stuff, but I wanted to get the episodes going out on Monday ready to go. So then that way I could then start editing today, the episode I recorded last night. So yeah, I mean, I told somebody, as a content creator, I feel like I've got less game time, but I enjoy the game more because I content create, which is a weird thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Have you got your new follower?
Yeah, I think so. I got a bodyguard in Naz'jatar.
No.
You mean for the...
Go to your boat in Borealis. A lot of people miss this. If you talk to the Admiral, the one who normally sends you over to the different places over on Zaldazar, she gives you a quest to go find some missing crew members in Naz'jatar, and you get her as a follower for your mission table.
Okay, I think I missed that.
If you've picked up all the flight points on Naz'jatar, it takes about 5 minutes to finish. But quite a few people miss that quest because it's not really signposted a lot. So, yeah. Go grab that one if you've missed it. Yeah, brilliant. So, I haven't done the Horde side of the new war faction yet. I'm trying to do it on the Alliance side. And while I could do it with my Monk, I'm waiting to see if I can push through on my Demon Hunter as a priority first. But of course, I failed the story mission with a 90% success rate because I'm trying to do too many missions at once. So I've now got to wait another day for it to go through again. But, yeah. There's that. I haven't got a torrent and I haven't had time to level the gnome recently because I've been doing everything else in 8.2. But, no new stuff there for me. Just enjoying the Naz'jatar. And I'm assuming, since you're up at Naz'jatar at the moment, how have you enjoyed the story regarding Ashara and the Tidestone?
I thought it was really cool. Like, now forgive me, did we know that Ashara had this Tidestone?
No,
or was or is that a big reveal?
If you stay away from reveals on and data mining and everything else, no, this is the first thing we find out that Ashara has the Tidestone.
Okay, because I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, they were heading somewhere. All of a sudden, Ashara's like, ha ha ha! Look at me! And
yeah, so
just takes away.
The closest that we find out, which is shown in-game stuff, is that she has the Tidestone, and a lot of people are saying how she got the Tidestone. And all we know from the cinematics and what we're told is that we've left it undefended, which is true. A lot of people are trying to place how we've done it. They think it's in Dalaran, they think it's in the tomb. Well, it is in the tomb, but you've got to remember that story-wise, the minute that we defeated Kil'jaeden, Argus is in the sky, and then we've all scrabbled to go to Argus. Now, you have to remember, just because all the players can change from one area to the next, it doesn't mean all of like the NPCs technically can. Like, for using Naz'jatar as a good example, story-wise, the only reason why we're able to go back and forth is because it's the Heart of Azeroth that's allowing us to use that portal. So technically, Jaina and Gen are all stuck on the island still, while we just flitter back and forth and enjoy the wonders of Mechagon.
Because we are the champions. Yeah.
We're the champions and we have the Heart of Azeroth, yeah.
And when we went from the tomb, when we went to Argus, there was a time difference. So that way...
Not so much. There wasn't so much a time difference to Argus, but you got to remember that everybody took the Vindicar to Argus. Khadgar was there, Illidan was there. So basically, all of the heroes were there. You know, we were at Argus and Antorus and dealing with that. So essentially, the tomb was left unguarded. And the actual Tidestone itself was down at the base where the rest of the Naga were.
Which I think it's brilliant. It's kind of like, hey, we're all done with our story. We all finished. We beat the bad guy. Nope. And I like how it connects the two together.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely interesting. If you put it in the perspective of logic, like rather than the gameplay sense, then yeah, okay, I can see how she has it. Rather than the gameplay sense of, well, we're not stupid enough to just leave these valuable artifacts in the tomb. But, you know, in terms of story, it kind of works out.
Yeah. And because like the Naga have kind of been the silent. I mean, like we fought them a lot long, but like they've been in a lot of our zones. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then now they're coming out as being like, yep, they're having their day.
What do you think of
baby's big day out? What
do you think of these new armored, like, I want to say crab Naga, like the new handmaidens essentially? You know which ones I'm talking about, yeah?
Can you post a picture? I think so. We fought them in the beginning of.
Sure. Let me see if I can find one for you quickly.
I think I know what you're talking about, but my mind's blanking. I know we fought. Are they the new, the big sentinels that we fought?
There you go. They're like scorpion type things.
Oh, those are cool. Okay. Yeah.
Because it feels like the male Naga are like the behemoths, and like these are what the new big female ones are going to be like.
Ooh, that is cool. Well, I mean, because like we have our Gilban, so we have. I mean, it makes sense that the Naga would use other types of races and stuff like that that we have.
Well, they're still Naga. They're just But yeah,
that is really cool.
You have seen that model, Fraz. It's in one of the cutscenes. Like it's the big handmaiden that Azshara talks to activate the Tidestone. So you have seen that model.
Okay. Yes, I have, because I watched the cutscene twice. Yes.
But there's a lot to come. I have a feeling the next step, because obviously the big next quest chain that you get in Naz'jatar is once you get one of your bodyguards to rank 3. Which is why, like, if you're going to do anything, the biggest thing I suggest on Naz'jatar is to just do your bodyguard and do the 3 dailies to level them up every day. Because the next step after that is to get 3,000 experience gained over all of your bodyguards. So you're looking at about 10 days of doing those dailies, essentially. So 10 days of Naz'jatar dailies.
Okay, so
I think
that next week I'll probably have it.
Yeah. Like, if you've got an hour or so just to jump into Naz'jatar to just do those dailies rather than the world quest and everything up, those are the big things I would suggest, because that's the time gating, it seems.
Okay.
There are a couple of options to speed it up if you have done the Murloc trading stuff, because a couple of the items there can give you 75 extra experience. It's not enough to overly level. It would have been nice if it could do, but there's not a lot you can really do there. I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. But I feel that's going to be it. The second part of the quest chain involves you going to go rescue some of the Ankoan, and basically delves into the mind control-y squid things and everything else. So it's very interesting, at least. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I know where the story is going to culminate. My brain can see... because if we go to the handmaiden that's in the beginning of the cutscene, who's empowered by the Tidestone and Ashara's magic, I think that's where the story's going to culminate, and then it will be just pushing on to the Citadel. Kind of Broken Shore-ish, like we end up just pushing towards Broken Shore. Is Broken Shore the right one to say? I'd say the Isle of Quel'Danas is probably the better idea, because that was the final push you did when you unlock stuff. But yeah, I think it'll be taking her out, and then, or at least forcing her to retreat to the Eternal Palace. And then it'll be about Jaina having to use the power of the Tidestone to keep the waters at bay. Maybe.
Yeah, because there was that one line she said, like, I will keep the waters away as long as you entertain me. I mean, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So have you finished the first introduction questline where you actually go down to the scene where Shara is in the Warbringers cutscene? Have you done all that yet? It's in the far east of the map.
I went up to Kellia's grave to get the Flightmaster whistle. Maybe okay. I haven't gone over there yet.
It's not too far away. It's a quest line with Chandra's Feathermoon and everything else. A lot of things. Yeah.
Funniest thing about Chandra's.
Yep.
We get in there and Jaina is like there and like we're heading in. Chandra's literally goes up to Jaina, staring Jaina right in the face, and does like a little boogie dance. And I'm like, oh, Chandra's and Jaina are getting it on. I mean, it was just like, I was like, whoa, Chandra's, whoa.
I mean, you know the undertones in the war story, Chandra's is getting on with John J. Keisha, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Which was making, there's a gnome, Kelsey Spanspark.
Yep.
So Kelsey and Chandra's are going to have a little fight. Ooh.
What?
Because Kelsey loves Keishan.
Oh,
Kelsey loves...
Everybody loves Rambo.
So, I mean... Yeah. And I still love Addie, but Addie won't return my calls.
So the story I really want to get into about this is... It really makes you think if Ashara intentionally dropped the water wall in the Warbringers cinematic due to the Whispers of the Fish, or she has got stronger in the 10,000 years, because there's a lot there where if she's holding the water wall back, because all she's essentially the undertone is that from all the stuff that we hear from Ashara, she's holding the water wall back, and it's not the Tidestone. The Tidestone just raised the Naz'jatar. So if she was able, if she hasn't got stronger, it means that in Warbringers she intentionally let the water cascade onto her people.
What I understand on that one is she didn't act fast enough. That she, for some reason, failed as a ruler, and like if she had enough time, she could have prepared it.
Well, she had enough time.
It comes up and she's trying to stop the water.
I mean,
she didn't act on it.
If you read the actual War of the Ancients, like her holding the water back, the only reason she would particularly do that in any case is to protect her kingdom. That's it.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about the people at all. She's out for herself.
Well, and she needs their loyalty.
Yeah, she does need their loyalty, but they like by the end of the War of the Ancients, half the Night Elves don't believe in her anyway. It's only like the High Elves that are still like the mages and that still hold the power, like, because that's the way their hierarchy worked. But so the Warbringers thing is slightly out, but it makes you think if she dropped the water wall intentionally, or if she's grown stronger.
That is true. And what would she gain by dropping the water wall in Warbringers?
Interest in what the fish was whispering to her.
Okay.
I mean that's literally it. That's the only thing I can think. I think,
yeah,
I think she's like, even before being told about without knowing she's the Naga, like Jaina and everything else knows she's the strongest mage in existence and everything else. So it beggars belief that she wouldn't be able, if she's able to hold the water wall back regardless without the Tidestone, then she would have been able to do it back in her heyday. That's all. It's just something I thought about back in the day, and it raised an interesting thing.
Well, and then could that mean that N'Zoth is giving her more power? Because
Well, that's what's implied by her gaining more power over the 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Because we've seen in Bastion of Twilight's a good example, the power that Cho'Gall has after being imbued by the power of Cthulhu. So, the power of an old god is mighty.
And they're being fed by the void. Is that right?
They are the void.
The old gods?
They are the void.
They are, okay.
Basically, how
they're the manifestation of the void.
It's a systematic plague. How the void works according to Chronicle is it's lots of parasitic things that are fired from the void space, and they've been fired out to try and find these Titan planets, and basically they infect these worlds, and then you see like the Black Empires, and if you look at Star Augur, the void of that's overwhelming the planet, so it's implied that that's the old god systemic corruption on the planet. You know, that's what would happen to Azeroth if the old gods were not defeated by the heroes of Azeroth and everything else. Like that, that's what's implied by that, by the horrors that are unknown out there, because it hasn't happened to Azeroth, even with at least 5 old gods that exist on this plane of existence. There are rumors and rumblings around the internet space that there is a 6th old god on this planet.
I could believe it, and I mean just that some things out there that we don't even know.
The story itself will bend and flow as it needs. If they need another old god, then there'll be another old god. It's interesting to see how it goes and everything else. And there was what do you think? I was talking about some of the guys in my guild on Discord while we were getting it. The opening cutscene with Mother in the Heart Foundry.
Yeah.
Do you get the feeling that we are essentially creating another Dragon Soul at this point?
That or something that, because it's about like another facility.
No. The heart of Azeroth itself. We are making a Dragon Soul. Because at the beginning, it basically in the scene where Mother is talking about how what recently had about the power of the Titans was imbued to the dragon aspects, and the dragon aspects created the Dragon Soul and everything else. It then slides from those 5 dragons into the heart of Azeroth, which is essentially a golden disc where the power outflows.
Yeah, because it already has the power from our artifact.
And if you hover over your Heart of Azeroth for the Crucible of Flame, it tells you that your next rank up for the Crucible of Flame is at rank 54 and starts from Kalek. And rank 3 and rank 2 is gained by getting an Azure Dragon Shard. We already have a member of the Black Dragonflight there. We're getting a member of the Blue Dragonflight, and we're going to see the Green Dragonflight. And then the last rank 3 is a Red Dragonflight. The only thing missing is a Bronze Dragonflight. It really feels like we're creating another Dragon Soul right now, and imbuing it with more essence and power.
Well, what was just added to the store shop?
A white dragon thing. I know it's got.
Yes.
I know it's got a dragon model.
And I've been hearing rumblings about the Dragon Isles and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that this white dragon could be an alluding to that. So
it could be. We talked about this last week about the Island Expedition quest and the items I got, which alluded to that. And speaking of which, I found an agent of what's his face? Oh, God's sake! Black Dragon Prince boy.
Rathion.
I found an agent of Rathion lurking in Naz'jatar. Randomly stumbled across it, just questing out. He was overlooking he was up on a point, and he was overlooking the gates of the Queen. So Rathion's
Everyone's gonna love that.
Rathion is very clearly aware of what's going on.
Yes. Excellent.
There's a lot going on. I'm slightly worried about the turn of events that we'll see in 8.3 if we are literally building a Dragon Soul. That worries me some about what we could be doing, but until I see the end of how the Ashara encounter goes, whether it's through heroic or if there's a secret mythic only fight / cutscene that we'll see on the world first race, then I don't know.
Without showing my ignorance, act like I do know it. Can you, for anybody that's listening, you might be wondering what a Dragon Soul is. Can you define what that is?
Oh, Christ almighty. Okay, so back during the War of the Ancients, Neltharion, who was the aspect of the earth, heard whispers, and those whispers told him to create a disc of great power. And Neltharion managed to trick the other aspects into giving a large chunk of their power into it. Now, timeline-wise, there was a great war over it. Neltharion changed into Deathwing and got some adamantite plates as the disc was ripping his power apart. There was a fight over the Well of Eternity where, timeline-wise, we took it to the future to beat Deathwing there, after it was imbued with even more power of the aspects and Thrall using the aspect of Earth, and we beat Deathwing, and Nosdormu dropped it back off to the point where it was taken. So this is basically at the point of the War of the Ancients, before it even went back to the future where we were 4 expansions ago, 3-4 expansions ago, maybe even more. I've lost a little bit of where I am. This was already had excuse me, dragon type aspect power, titan power, and old god essence in it. And then over the years, the Dragon Soul was lost, and shards were there, and Cyntharia, Lady Sinestra, was able to rebuild the Twilight Dragons using a part of the Dragon Soul. The Dragon Soul is a very awesome instrument, artifact of power over the years, and it's responsible for a lot more in the story than you actually think. But if we are building another Dragon Soul, and basically this is all due to the whispers of N'Zoth and Ashara, because we already know through what Il'gynoth told us back in Legion that the Crystal King has been made a pawn. So if he's the reason responsible why we've got the Heart of Azeroth, and his adventures and mother have made us essentially change it into another Dragon Soul that will be used to power the ability to break N'Zoth out of his chains during the Ashara encounter, because that's what that's looking like right now. The fact that she goads us into using the Heart of Azeroth's power to fuel the machine to break the chains. And we are trying to stop it somehow, but I don't know how that encounter fully goes. That's all I'm aware of. But if we are fueling a Dragon Soul, it can lead to really big problems. Because as I've said in a previous episode, if this ends up being that we store Azeroth's soul away in the heart, and N'Zoth is part of the planet, or vice versa, if N'Zoth ends up in the amulet, N'Zoth then has the power of a Dragon Soul. Because we know old gods can inhabit items. That's the whole point of the story before the Crucible of Storms, because Xal'atath is an old god. That's been confirmed. She is a full old god, and she's in humanoid form now. So the fact that an old god can inhabit an item is not unbeknownst to us. And that seed that they set there is what a lot of people have been missing, is the fact that an old god can inhabit an item. It's going to be interesting, because even if we beat N'Zoth, Xal'atath's still going to be out there. Maybe Xal'atath is part of 8.3. We don't know. It's...
That would...
Yeah, go ahead.
And that would add into the Black Empire, that would add into the dragons that you're talking about.
Well, think about it this way. The old gods so far have all been locked up to planes. Like, every single big old god we fought has been locked. The Titans locked them away. Xal'atath was locked into a blade until N'Zoth gave her a humanoid form. She is an old god wandering the plane of Azeroth. We don't know what she's doing.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is very scary. We will possibly see if the story takes a turn where it's instead not about Sylvanas and more about Xal'atath, and we have a trilogy regarding Xal'atath, then we are possibly going to see Doomsayers, the re-rise of the Twilight's Hammer, because they're more of a Doomsday cult rather than they were worshipping what's it called? Blah, 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 blah. Deathwing. And you got to remember that pre BFA, there was the ogre with the book, his diary, that had been whispered by old gods, whether it was Cthulhu or N'Zoth or Xal'atath. You know, there have been whispers that are still out there, and the Twilight's Hammer will come back again. It's always a doomsday cult, and especially if the old god's in human form, it really means that we're going to see more.
Well, and but right before BFA, there was the Doomsayer robes that were dropping off of City Guard to Storm and Orgrimmar.
Yep.
And I got one of those, so I was.
I do have that toy. It's fun.
So even though we defeated the Legion, they were like, "Nope, the end is near. That there's still more."
The end is near. Exactly. An old god in human form is terrifying.
Yeah. How do you know that I'm not a old god in gnome form?
Because no old god is willing to drop their majesty and mystique enough to gain a gnome form.
Oh, you just punted down my ambitions. I kept thinking that I was an old god.
I'm hoping I stepped on your expectations, seeing as they were so small.
Yes.
But speaking of characters in gnomish form, Chromie was on Mechagnomes today on EU side, and she had an interesting quest where we see the future on Mechagnomes. So she ports us through to the alternate timeline where we see the future of Mechagnomes, and what seems to be King Mechagnomes' plan has succeeded. It's very Terminator style, as there are big 8 million health arachnid mech bots which pretty much one-shot you.
Ooh. And yeah, because Mechagnomes wants to turn everything into
he wants to rid the curse of flesh. But we find out something interesting, that the other neutral base that's on Mechagnomes, the guy that's in charge of that basically sold out the resistance. So the story probably tends that we'll have to deal with him down the line.
And isn't it interesting that Priscilla Ashbane is helping the Zara?
Yeah, this is one part of the story I'm unsure of what took a direction. In the fact that excuse me. In the fact that the last we saw of Priscilla Ashbane, if you played the Horde side, is that the Horde rescued Ashbane from prison and was working with Sylvanas. So the only thing we can think of is that her and Sylvanas have secretly gone away, and Ashbane was given to the Naga. So Sylvanas could be working with Ashara, because there's no other reasonable explanation other than she was on the boat that Nathanos was leading with the dagger. We don't know where Nathanos goes. I haven't played the Horde side intro yet. We don't know how, but there's a good chance that she was on that ship and then got given by Nathanos to the Naga, and they're working together. We haven't seen. I don't think there's a lot of or anything of Sylvanas in 8.2 regarding Naz'jatar. A lot of it is all Lorthamar down there.
And Bane.
Bane's the war story, rather than on Naz'jatar. So, have you seen the new cinematic from the war story?
Not yet.
That's fine.
Here.
We will talk about that next week then, when we next come back together, because I have seen it. However, I haven't witnessed it in game myself, and I'd rather do that before we talk about it. So next time we come around, we'll talk about that. Ooh, there's a lot. There's a lot so far. 8.2 is very, very story filled and everything else. It'll be interesting. The raid doesn't open for another couple of weeks. Neither does Mechagnomes and everything else. But I feel like mostly the cusp is over for new stuff until another week has gone by, and we see what the next step in the Ankoan chain is.
Yeah. Now you can look online. There are secret ways to get into the palace. So even if you can't kill anything, but you want to get into the palace early, there's a way to get in there.
Well, it doesn't port you into the palace. It just takes you to the other entrance to it.
Okay.
It doesn't take you into the raid, unfortunately. But it's a nice little nod to the fact that even though Naz'jatar doesn't have any real power at at the level that we're at with the shadowy tentacles, he still has stuff like the fish that he can talk to that will still infest that sort of area.
That's very fishy.
Oh, bloody. It's interesting. There's clearly some side plans going on somewhere. We don't know if Azshara is playing Naz'jatar. We don't know if until we know what the encounter with Azshara is in the Eternal Palace, we don't know what the end game for this expansion is going to be, because we don't know if we beat Azshara, if it's a complete bluff, and if what we're doing actually sets Naz'jatar free rather than stopping it. I have a feeling that encounter is going to be all mind games, and we're not actually going to fight Azshara herself, and hence why it's a chest, and then we'll see Azshara later on.
Yeah, because especially you saw Azshara as in a form that you saw Azshara appear, but it wasn't them.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what I honestly am interested to see where the story goes.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
And it's amazing that we don't know where it's going. It's nice not being, I mean, like we have ideas, but it's cool that there's still that moment where they're going to take the rug out from under it, like, aha, okay, that's where we were heading.
Yeah. I think that's enough for today. We've talked long enough on 8.2 without spoiling too much, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to try and finish the war story by the time we next sit down and talk. We'll talk about that cutscene next time, hopefully, if you get time to finish off the war story in your end as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and listening to us on the podcast, if that's what you've done instead. Frazley, for those people that don't follow you on the internet, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Frazleytastic, and every week at gnomepodcast.com, where I talk with different people around Azeroth and beyond and try to figure out what makes them tick. So by the time this is out, you will have heard from Frosty and Kaz of the Worgen Cell. So Worgen, who are hoping for Gilneas to finally be reclaimed.
It's about time.
Yes. That city's been blighted for such a long time.
Gilneas hasn't been blighted specifically. The Gilneas still exists. It's just not been blighted yet.
Okay.
It's just been evacuated.
Okay. Oh, what if we find a way to get rid of the blight in Lordaeron, and we take over Lordaeron, and at the same time we are able to then keep Gilneas from being blighted?
Well, there is a way to get rid of the blight. We saw that during the Wrathgate. It requires dragonfire.
Ooh, and if we are getting help from dragons?
Maybe. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Titans Creed or at Gaming Phoenix for all that good stuff. You can find me on youtube.com/Project Phoenix Productions or twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions, where I stream and do video games and this lovely podcast with that lovely gnome type person. That one. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. And until next time, as Frazley likes to say,
be awesome.
That's the one.